Hello viewers, I'm 118 and welcome to another episode of my GTA ramming series, and this time we're going to be covering the off-road class. As always, what you're seeing in the background is a countdown in terms of vehicle momentum from the worst to the best, and vehicle momentum is shown on the screen as the 5 and eventually 6-digit numbers in units of kilogram meters per second to the nearest whole number. In order to calculate a vehicle's momentum, you need its top speed and weight and just multiply them together. Very simple. In order to obtain those momentum values, of course, we need the top speed and weight values. We can find those from Bruffy1322's testing spreadsheet. In the video description, you will find links to Bruffy's YouTube channel if you want to see his own testing videos, and also his website, and you can find a link to his testing spreadsheet from there. There's a link to the GTA Wiki, which is where all these images come from. There's a link to the playlist for this video series in case you want to see other classes of vehicles that I've done videos on. There's also a link to the spreadsheet of my own that covers this video series, and I will continuously update that spreadsheet as new classes that I've done videos on become available. There are also links to the individual pieces of music that you hear in the background. So, the off-road class. One of the sort of larger classes, to be honest. We've had a spell of sort of smaller classes, like the compacts class that we had last time. That was a really short class. 39 vehicles in this class though, which is one less I think than the supercars class, so a pretty substantial class. And unlike previous classes that I've done, there sort of seems to be an obvious top 5 and an obvious bottom 5 in terms of vehicle momentum when you look at this class. We have of course had outliers before in previous classes, you know, for example in the supercars class the Vigilante was so far ahead of everything else. So there was an obvious top 1 there, but you know, not an obvious top 5 really. This class, I'm not going to reveal what the top 5 are until we get there. The bottom 5, of course, we had the 5 different versions of quad bike. Obviously there's a lot of bodywork missing there in comparison to other vehicles, so it's quite obvious that those vehicles would get the worst momentum. We've entered into the top 10 now. We had a few joint positions, just to reiterate. If there is a joint position, the position immediately below that is skipped, because the vehicle that's below the two that are in the joint position, I think in this case the two technicals, the technical and the technical aqua, were in joint 11th place, and the Camacho was in 13th place and not 12th place, just because there are 12 vehicles better than it rather than 11. Into the top 5 now with the Night Shark. This is the first of the obvious ones, of course. Armoured by default, so it gets a lot of weight, and it's quite fast as well for an armoured vehicle. And then we've got the Menacer in 4th place, the newest of the breed of sort of armoured vehicles in the off-road class, sort of new rip-off version of the Insurgent pickup. Speaking of which, here's the Insurgent pickup in 3rd place. We're getting really high values of momentum now. I don't think we've actually seen values this high yet. I can't remember what the Vigilante value was, to be honest, but we're certainly getting very high now. The Insurgent's in 2nd place. You might be wondering why it's actually ahead of the Insurgent pickup, but remember, of course, the ordinary Insurgent pickup cannot get any upgrades. It's only the Insurgent pickup custom, which you may have guessed is indeed in 1st place. It is slightly faster than the ordinary Insurgent, and that's why it gets the 1st place position, but the ordinary Insurgent pickup that that's a Pegasus vehicle obviously can't be upgraded, and so the upgraded Insurgent has a better momentum than the stock Insurgent pickup. So there we have it, the 5 sort of really big armoured vehicles way out in front as the obvious top 5, and the 5 Quad bikes, really obviously in the bottom 5. Everything else in the middle, sort of as you'd expect, really. With the Dubster 6x6 and the Caracara sort of at the higher end. And then got the things like the ramp buggies and the Kalahari down towards the bottom end. So, let's see some of these vehicles in action then. First up, we've got the Blazer on the left. Don't expect too much from that, because you just fall off, obviously, when you ram into something. And the Rancher XL on the right. The Rancher XL didn't get that far up the momentum list, but it's not actually that bad, because, you know, it's still big and heavy, and therefore most of the things that it's going to be ramming are indeed lighter, so it doesn't actually do that bad. Now the Reata and the Camacho, they're sort of in the middle of the field, some of the better performing vehicles in the class. The Camacho is very good at ramming. It does occasionally spin out, but so does everything really. Now the Reata is a bit bouncier, so do bear that in mind if you're ramming things in that. It does like to, not always, but sometimes be a bit bouncy. Then of course we've got here the Night Shark on the left and the Insurgent on the right, 2 of the top 5. They are very, very good at ramming. They will knock anything out of the way, including if it means launching them into the air. They will get through, no problem whatsoever. Unless, of course, you're ramming like a truck or a bus or something, in which case you might have a bit of a struggle. Although, of course, the momentum is not everything. Sometimes special, weird game physics does indeed come out on top. Of course, I'm talking about the ramp buggies here. Not really sure why they're in the off-road class. They're not off-road vehicles at all, but they are, of course, the kings of the ramming world in the off-road class, just not king of the momentum. Do of course bear in mind that if you are using the ramp buggy and it's one that you've purchased yourself and it's one that you own, it will start to smoke and eventually explode if you ram too many things in it. So do be aware of that. So I think that's it for this video, viewers. I hope you enjoyed watching. Of course, feel free to subscribe if you aren't already, if you want to see more classes of vehicles in this video series. The next class that I'll do will be the Vans class. There'll be some interesting results in that class. But for now, viewers, good luck with whatever games you're playing, and hopefully I'll see you next time.